Come on.
Hello.
There you go.
This is so embarrassing. Why am I embarrassed?
I don't know. Hush. Hush. Belle.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of you.
Conversation will evolve.
What's that noise?
That. The fireplace.
Oh. Now that we have complete silence. Hello, everyone.
Howdy.
We are here again, and as you can tell, we are embracing the holiday spirit behind us.
Christmas. And we decorated the Enterprise up with a bit of garland from
Yes.
1984. So
Really? From 1984?
I have no idea, but who uses that garland anymore?
I'm sure a lot of people use garland like that.
Maybe, yeah.
Did you ever...
It's not very modern, though.
Whenever you were a kid, did you ever get like the tinsel and just throw it on the tray?
Yeah.
Man, that stuff was a bitch to clean up.
We used tinsel every other year because it was so, you know, because you can't vacuum it up because it gets wrapped up in the in the roller and
then one year we had the crystal blue tinsel. It was like a icy blue color.
oh.
Metallic blue.
I remember when people started using the icicle lights.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Another type of light that's lovely year round, you know.
Right. We had, at one point we had the old fashioned string of lights with that old big glass colored bulbs on them.
Yeah. Now they make some modern ones that are circular that kind of look like the old ones.
And this was almost like the candle flame shape bulbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they were the old school.
That's what we had put on the outside of the house.
Yeah.
And I remember one year, I didn't notice it until Christmas Eve because I thought it was Rudolph's nose. I thought Rudolph was outside the window, so I better get back to sleep. But my dad had put the lights on the house, and the red light bulb was right outside my window.
That's so cool.
And I woke up in the middle of the night, you know, early Christmas morning. Oh my God, Rudolph's outside my door. I need to go to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, my Santa Claus, my belief in Santa Claus was shattered at a very young age. So I've always been kind of meh about it.
Yeah, I didn't know until my mom asked me to help set up for my little sister when I was 9, and I was like, what? Yeah, don't you know he's not real? I figure people would have told you.
Oh my gosh.
Childhood ruined, but I believe in Santa Claus.
Well, I believe in the spirit of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, anyone can be Santa Claus, so therefore Santa Claus exists.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Call Me Claus?
No, I have not.
It has Whoopi Goldberg in it.
Okay.
And she becomes Santa Claus, reluctantly becomes Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, I need to watch that.
And it's about, and it's on demand on the Xfinity thing.
Okay.
But it's, she reluctantly becomes Santa Claus, but it kind of shows how, you know, the spirit of Santa could be anybody.
Right.
You know?
Yep, I firmly believe that. My Santa Claus ruining story, it really wasn't ruined. Every Christmas Eve, one of my grandmothers, my mom's mom, would come to the house and she would spend the night on Christmas Eve. So I would always sleep in my brother's room. And we'd gone to bed, they'd sent us to bed, and we woke up because we heard voices. So we just kind of like go out into the living room. And this is like one of those memories from your childhood that is just forever burned.
Mm-hmm.
And so over on the dining room table, my grandmother was standing there filling the stockings. My mom was doing something. My dad and one of my uncles were putting together a play kitchen. There was this tent. My brother got a tent that year. It was set up in the living room, and then we had 2 bicycles sitting there. So it was like a pretty big Christmas.
Yeah.
And So we just kind of walk out there and just looking at everything like, this is interesting. And I remember, like, looking back on it now, the look on my parents' face, they were so tired. And it was just like, they looked at each other, they looked at us. And I think my dad started giving this, you know, half attempt of, you know, Santa Claus was in a hurry and we have to, you know.
He asked if we could help set up the stuff for him.
Yeah, we're putting it together, you know, doing all this. And my brother and I are just like, look at all this cool stuff. So we like sat on our bikes and watched them for a little bit. And then eventually we went back to bed.
So they didn't they didn't say, y'all kids get back to bed, or?
No, it was just kind of like, oh well.
Oh God, they've seen it. We're tired.
Right.
We've gotten 3 hours sleep.
No, they had not gotten any sleep at this point.
Oh, so they had been up doing stuff.
Yeah, this was like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
So they had stayed up putting stuff together. Oh God, I bet it took them forever to put that tent together. That's probably why they were tired.
Well, no, then the play kitchen I had, because I had so many little screws and stuff, they had to completely put it together.
Well, you lucky little girl.
But I remember, like, as we got older, we would start, like, we would be up, we would stay up late on Christmas Eve, and as soon as it got midnight, we would want to have our Christmas. And then we would have our Christmas and then go to bed and sleep in, as long as we wanted to.
Oh. I guess if my tradition had started off like that, it'd be one thing, but no, I don't like that. I mean, we'd get up super early, like 4:30 or 5, you know.
I mean, there were years we did that, but there were definitely years where we talked my parents into, let's just go on, it's midnight, it's Christmas now.
Yeah, just let us have it all. But you did have a different, like, Christmas Day, you know, where we had to be ready and leaving the house by 11.
Well, I mean, we did too. We would have stuff at our church and stuff, so, I mean, we still had to get up, but we didn't, you know, we could just go to sleep at midnight or a little after and just sleep all the way through.
And then wake up again. Wake up and realize, oh my God, I got all this cool crap I can play with all day.
And then it became a game because one year my parents went down to the big city near us. It was like 2 hours away. And they had bought all of our Christmas presents. My brother and I, we would like go through closets and like purposefully try to find our Christmas presents.
Really? You were one of those kids?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. It's so horrible. I know my parents are watching this, or I hope they are watching this.
Well, I never felt compelled to do it because I always wanted to be surprised. And then always felt that if it wasn't what I wanted, I didn't want to be disappointed for the whole of December.
Well, the first time that we discovered this, it was by accident. So they had gone shopping and we couldn't find anything in the house. So obviously they had them hidden at grandparents or something. Well, it was like cold outside and we were getting ready for school. And he and I were just sitting in the car waiting for her to come out so we could go to work and school. And I was in the front seat. And it was like one of those cars, you know, where the whole armrest kind of folded down in the middle. It was like a bench seat when you put it up. Well, I lifted it up, and there's like receipts all under there. So it was this long receipt. So I opened it up, and it's from Kmart. And we're like reading, oh! And we just read everything we're going to get for Christmas.
So they did big shopping trips.
Yeah. And I think that they knew that we were the Snoopy kind of kids. So they thought that they outsmarted us, but we found the receipt, so.
We didn't need to find their presents. You need to hide the receipts better, guys.
Exactly.
So now that we have sufficiently shared our wonderful Christmas memories.
Traditions.
Tradition. If I was a rich man.
I haven't watched that movie in forever. I need to watch it.
I really like that movie. But we did watch... What did we watch? Star Trek, the animated episode.
Star Trek, the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Season 1, episode 12.
This brain. See, I can't even talk. This brain is messing up my hat. This hat is messing up my brain.
Alright, so yeah. I keep taking it off my screen. Okay, so we watched the Star Trek.
TOS animated series.
No, it's not TOS. It's just Star Trek, the animated series. Star Trek, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 12, is called The Time Trap.
That's a trap. Wrong movie, but it's a crap.
It was kind of interesting because they encountered the Klingons, and the captain of the Klingon ship that they encountered was voiced by George Takei, which I thought that was interesting because I never would have imagined him voicing a Klingon, but he did a good job.
Yeah, he did. He voiced a Klingon in an earlier episode as well
Of the animated series. Okay, I don't remember that.
It was shorter on screen time than this episode.
Yeah, he had some good scenes in this one. But basically they had been sent to the Delta Triangle to study that region of space and to figure out why there was like a high number of ships that mysteriously disappeared there. So it was interesting to me because when they first said Delta Triangle, of course my mind went to Delta Quadrant.
Right.
Which is where Janeway and Voyager was stuck, right? So then I'm like, okay, well, it's the Delta Triangle. And the way that they were talking about it, it reminded me a lot of the Bermuda Triangle. So I think they were kind of mirroring that.
Yeah.
It was an interesting episode. They got pulled into this, this...
Let's do the time warp again.
Exactly.
Yeah, the time warp.
They described it as a pocket in the garment of time. Which is interesting to me because if you think of time as a garment, and a pocket in a garment, it's just like this little area that you can just like hide things in. I don't know. It's just
it is. Yeah, I mean it is essentially like that. So you have on a coat, and
right.
And maybe your garment of time would be that little inside pocket that you always forget about, where things go to get lost.
Right. Where did I put that again? I always like getting my coats out in the wintertime.
Oh God, yeah.
Finding money.
Oh God, yeah. There's at least a 1 or a 5. I've never found more than that, but
I went almost a whole year one time without my favorite chapstick, and when it got cold and I got my jacket out, I was like reached in, I'm like, my chapstick.
It's like Christmas all over again.
All right. But we were talking about a pocket in a garment. This is totally off the subject of Star Trek, but it made me think of this. When I was a kid, I read the Little House on the Prairie books. Did you ever read those? Okay, so there was one, I can't remember which one it was, but it was when Laura was very small. So it had to have been in like the first or second book. And I don't remember the exact setup for the scene, but essentially they had gone somewhere where there was like a creek bed that had gravel and really pretty colored stones. So her and her sister were picking them up and putting them in their pockets. Well, she had put so many of these little pebbles in her pocket that it ripped and the pocket fell out of the dress. And she was like, the main thing of the scene was her throwing a fit and her mom trying to calm her down. And so her mother was showing her, she was like, look, your pocket is like a little bag. So you hold this little bag in your lap with these stones in it, and when we get home, I'll sew the bag back into your dress and your pocket will be fixed again. So I just remember being this little kid. It was like, I remember reading that and the concept of pockets it was just opened up to me.
Oh, really?
Like, I never imagined that your pocket was a bag. It's just, it was insane to me. It was like my mind was blown.
Like a little miniature bag on your dress.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always remember thinking, every time I would put something in my pockets that was really heavy, I was like, it's okay. If it falls out, my mom can sew the little bag back into the dress.
That's so cool how stuff like that sticks with you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But, so they were stuck in the pocket.
Yeah, there was all these different ships from hundreds of different species, and they'd been there for centuries.
Yeah, there was Orions, Vulcans,
And Dorians.
Xindi.
Yeah.
All kinds of, there was more Klingons that had been there. God, all grades of them.
And then some weird telepathic species. I didn't know what they were.
And then, but they'd been there for centuries.
Yeah, and time passed slower for them. But they had very strict laws. Like they called them in and put them in front of the council or whatever it was, and essentially told them that every ship captain was responsible for the actions of their crew. And if they break a law, then the captain is held responsible.
Yeah. And their main law was no violence. Absolutely no violence. And if someone on your crew commits an act of violence, whether you're aware of it or not, you get punished.
Right, yeah. So there was as the Vulcan who was stuck there, kind of like on the council, as he was explaining to everyone else, you know, there's no law against them trying to leave because, of course, you know, Kirk and Spock and all them was like, we've got to figure out how to get away from here.
Yeah.
So there was no law against them trying to leave, but in the process of them leaving, they had to work together with the Klingons that were mad at them. And that spurred the Klingons to do violence, and
yeah,
they essentially got out of it, but...
They did, yeah. They tried some covert thing, and, you know, of course, they got found out, you know, because Mr. Super Smart Spock knows all. And,
I like the scene where Spock is, like, behind the two Klingons, like, what's up, dudes?
yeah, and then they walk away, and Bones is like, something's wrong with Spock. He's getting too friendly. And, you know, the captain confronts him, and he's like, well, I had to touch them to be able to, you know, assess their real intent, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a cool scene. It was just so, like, to see Spock in that relaxed position.
Yeah.
It was odd.
It was a bit strange. But the punishment, if somebody committed a violent act, was for the ship and all its crew members to go in hibernation for a century.
Right.
And so, as you said, the Klingons incited this act of violence, and really, Bones, he didn't get violent. He was like, you know, I asked her to dance and she said yes. What's the fucking issue, dude?
Right.
And the Klingon, you know, pulls his phaser, and then they're like, alright, you two and your captains, to the council you go.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was a good episode, though.
It was, yeah, but they ended up letting them try, and they got out, and woohoo.
I like when the Klingons had planted an explosive device inside the engine of the Enterprise. So, when they found out about it, Scotty and Spock were going in there, and they opened up this panel, and there's the little explosive device, and Spock picks it up. He runs over to this thing on the wall. It was like eject, so he opens like this chute and drops it in there and ejected it out.
Oh, it's like a space laundry chute.
I know, because, you know, at first your first thought would be like, just beam it off the ship.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know.
It's
weird.
a more dramatic effect that way.
Right. Like, what else are you going to use that to eject? Like, what else are you going to be ejecting out into space?
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on how much they drink. On a sober day, probably nothing.
Well, no, because you have to think that at a state-of-the-art spaceship, they recycle all that stuff and try to,
Oh, yeah.
you know, reuse it. Kind of like on they reused everything in Dollhouse.
Yeah, that's true. And
You know, it's like a self-sustaining thing. And when you're out in space, you don't want to be putting space junk out there.
Well, no. No, that's what I'm saying. On a sober day, probably nothing. But, you know, you get Bones drunk, you know, you may be, hey, y'all, watch this, and be squatting over it or something, you know? I mean, you never know. But we don't know what the Enterprise crew gets up to after the camera's turned off.
This is true. We know what the Discovery crew gets up to.
Yes, we do. We do.
Disco! I got an email the other day from CBS All Access. Because when we got to the mid-season finale of Discovery, I stopped doing the monthly, and then I'll start paying it again when Discovery comes back on air, because I'm not going to pay it and not use it. So they keep sending me emails. Would you like to renew, you know, just log back on the site and renew your subscription. Like, dudes, bring Star Trek back, then I'll pay you again.
Right? And I'd just like to say, if anybody out there knows of an app I can get on the Roku where I can watch British TV that will allow me to watch the game shows and the talk shows, and not only like Coronation Street and what's that other one? That other one. I want to be able to watch everything. I have BritBox, and that's not the one I want. I've canceled it. I had a week's subscription, and you can't watch anything. I mean, you can watch Doctor Who. You can watch all the Doctor Who you effing want.
Why are you doing your phone like this?
Because it's in my hand. My righteous indignation cellular device. But I want to be able to watch ITV, ITV2, and all the BBCs.
So yeah, if you're in England and you know the answer to that question, please help a girl out.
Or if you're an American who's I'm talking about an American trying to watch British TV.
Or it could be British people living in America trying to watch TV from back home.
Well, yeah, somebody living here or anywhere who knows. And it's not BritBox. BritBox is cool, but it's not what I need.
Gotcha.
So, we don't have Discovery till January. We've only got one more Orville.
Yes, that's tonight, and we're going to watch that on our own time because a week from tomorrow, we are having a roundtable discussion with some of our friends about the first season of Orville. I'm super excited about that.
We are, Molly and Joe. Possibly DJ, right?
Yes, hopefully DJ.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. So, you know, some of the saddest times in people like our lives who watch so much TV is when they break for the winter and then the dreaded May finale, because then you're waiting months. And then it makes you realize how sad your existence in the evenings is.
No, that's when you just start watching reruns on Netflix.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, there are things to explore, and there's so much out there now.
Yeah.
Between Amazon having their own shows, YouTube starting to have their own shows,
Facebook has their own shows.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, God, there is no shortage of stuff to watch. I imagine the people who were alive actually, I remember when I was probably in the first grade, getting up in the mornings, and on some channels, most channels would have like infomercials, but some channels would have those little bars, the colored bars, and then at like 6 o'clock, the Flintstone kids would come on.
Right.
And I'd sit like this close, so my parents didn't know I was awake that early. But it's just so strange to go from them not having enough shows to fill all the airspace and putting on all these infomercials.
It's just out there now.
Everything. Everybody's making shows.
If you're willing to pay the price for it, you can watch it.
So Netflix is going up again at the beginning of the year. The basic package is going to be $10.99, and I'm assuming the other packages are going to go up as well. I only saw that one because my mother's TV told me the last time I logged into Netflix. But it's still, to me, it's still cheaper than having cable.
Yeah. We're locked into a cable contract now, but at the end of it, I think we're going to, because I think it's 2 years from now. So who knows what you can get as far as streaming. If they kill net neutrality, we could be paying for everything in packages. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You never know. And that just, it doesn't seem, it seems immoral in a way. It doesn't, to be able to dictate that. Yeah. It takes away freedom. Freedom. We need freedom in our digital age.
My internet civil liberties.
There you go.
It's greed. Every freaking problem we have.
Yeah.
It's greed.
And I have to remind myself that even if, these rules are reversed and let's say these companies do want to be dishonest and break things up into packages that way. At the end of the day, you're going to pay for what you can afford. And then my goal is to maybe not focus on it that much.
Right.
Focus on non-internet related things.
Right, yeah.
But for people like us, trying to spread our message of Trek love to the world.
That's right, because true Trekkies are lovely.
Okay, sure. We are lovely.
At heart, even the Klingons.
But it could make it harder for us to reach an audience, and that can be scary, but I don't want to focus on that right now.
Yeah.
Just focusing on having fun doing it.
Yeah, and I don't really know. Is it something that's like, is this like voted upon? Is this, I don't understand. Who's making the decision?
Our Congress.
Okay, that was...
Well, the net neutrality laws that are in effect came about from years and years past, companies that were caught doing unethical things.
Like trying to have monopolies and stuff? Or?
Well, yeah, I think I was reading online, I don't know how true this is, but I was reading an article, they were talking about how, I think it was AOL or someone, they would filter the AOL email system. So if you had an AOL email address and somebody emailed you and was like, bad mouthing AOL in it. They would just be like,
yeah.
we're not going to deliver that to your inbox. You don't need to hear bad mouthing about us.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing,
kind of cherry picking.
Right, and it showed that companies like that have the ability to block and, let's say you have your internet through Xfinity and you don't like them anymore and you want to find something with a better price, and you go to Google and be like AT&T Uverse and try to go to their website, and Xfinity could be like, yeah, we don't want you to see our competitors' websites, and then you can't go to it.
Sounds a bit like 1984 starting out. But so what brought this about? Like, was it a certain senator or, congressman or several? Was it a committee?
Yeah, it's a committee. I mean, from what I understand,
is Tipper Gore ahead of this committee?
I don't know.
Miss Censorship herself?
Well, I think that this is kind of embarrassing because now I feel like I need to read up on it more.
I think we should, because I feel, okay, now I could be wrong, and obviously edit this out if it sounds stupid, okay? But we're divided in classes in all sorts of different things.
Right.
From the way that they price food at the grocery stores. In different areas of town.
Oh, like the nice healthy stuff is way more expensive than the crappy food.
It is, and they'll have if for instance in our area where you live, it's the city Little Miss Kara lives in. It's a more ritzier part of town, and things are more expensive there. Gas is more expensive. Food at the grocery store is more expensive, and I'm sure they have a bigger selection of the organic and the natural. So if you were to go to a poorer section of the city, you would find a smaller section of the organic and natural foods. And they would be
cheaper brands,
a little cheaper prices. And I don't know, it's just the net neutrality thing. I don't know why it made me think about that, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so like when you look at countries like China, some websites are just flat out banned.
Yeah.
So like I don't even think you can get on Twitter in China. Because when Trump went over there, they had to take special equipment to allow him to be able to get onto Twitter. Because the Chinese internet ISPs and all the MediaCom companies or whatever, by government mandate, block these websites. So if you come over here, it's not really so much the fact as, I don't feel like the government is like, we're going to prevent you from seeing these things. But they're lifting restrictions so that it can pave the way for companies to be, because, it's all about the almighty dollar in the US of A. So it's if a company feels like that it can make money on doing something like that and there are no laws in place to stop them, well, yeah, people are going to do it. I don't think every company is going to do it, but it opens up the possibility, especially when you think about internet companies in the United States and how they've they're conglomerates now.
Yeah, because there's really only like 3 or 4 big companies, and then it's umbrellaed.
Yeah.
All underneath.
Because you have your cable providers, and then you have your like DirecTV and all that comes in through satellite. So there's everybody kind of has, there are certain companies, bigger companies that have monopolies on certain areas of it anyway.
The amount of greed that, it takes over. Well, I'd like things to stay how they are.
Yeah.
I like having my choices the way that they're put to me now.
Yeah.
Because, God, I don't want to be walking around and, you walk by a screen and I don't know.
It scans your retinas and knows your name and knows where you live.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be here and, like...
That's like, what was that movie? The only Tom Cruise movie I like.
That one where they saw the crimes before they happened.
What is the name of that movie?
Something. Minority Report.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that I'm with you. Besides Jerry Maguire, I didn't really like Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire, but I sort of liked that movie. But I liked Minority Report. That was the only movie I genuinely...
This is the only Tom Cruise movie I like. But yeah, you know, that's the government. That was more government mandated, and I don't know. It's just depressing when you watch when you especially watch a lot of science fiction and know like the possibility of how technology can evolve.
Yeah.
And you know, understand why governments want to squelch some of that. I mean, just Black Mirror. I mean,
oh yeah.
Look at all the possible things that could happen with technology.
And every single episode is completely plausible with the technology we have now.
Right.
You know, especially that one, and the one that really got to me, well, two of them. First one was with Bryce Dallas Howard,
right,
with the stars, you know, and you could only do certain things and only go certain places and buy certain houses and rent certain places.
It was a class system.
Yeah, and then the other one was the one where that girl's sentence was everybody had their camera phones. Kara made me put mine down because I had it, but they had their phones, you know, filming her through the whole thing.
Oh, was that when she was like every day she got reset for a chance to escape, and then
her and her boyfriend had kidnapped this little girl.
Yeah.
And they implanted her with these things, and they didn't implant her. They wiped her memory, and then she ended up thinking it was her kid.
Right.
And yeah, that one. I mean, that was.
Yeah, it's a mind game almost.
It really is. There's a new season coming out soon.
Yeah, I still have to finish the second season. I'm still working on that one.
Also, The Crown. The Crown comes out next week.
I haven't been watching that.
I love The Crown. Actually, I think it comes out Saturday. I love The Crown.
And one other thing I want to mention, it's coming up soon. I don't remember the exact date, but coming up soon, William Shatner's new show is coming out for its second season. Better Late Than Never.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be in Europe, I think.
I had forgotten about that. It's been so long.
Yeah, they William Shatner posted on his Instagram page the other day that they're going to have a 1-hour sneak preview. And I'm like, if you're going to spend an hour giving a sneak preview, just play the first episode.
Call it an episode.
Right? I would be annoyed if it's an hour of previews that we're going to see throughout the season.
I get annoyed on Amazon when, especially on like the HBO shows and stuff, you go down to season 1 and you go down and you think it's going to be the pilot episode. No. It's episode 0. And then it's episode 00, and then it's episode 1. What kind of shit is that?
I don't know. I've never noticed that before.
I would rather, like, have it at the end of the season, like you would on bonus features if you were watching a DVD.
Right.
You know, because you'd watch it, or most people, I guess I would, watch the episodes and then, oh, I'm going to go watch all the bonus features, the deleted scenes, and yada, yada, yada.
I never watch stuff like that anymore. I remember like it was the cool thing to do on your DVDs to go watch all the bonus things. I don't even think about it anymore. I just don't.
Well, we don't really watch DVDs anymore.
I do sometimes, but I just don't go watch that stuff.
Now it's been a long time since I've watched a DVD, but I'm a bonus feature person.
Yeah, I'm gonna my new Next Generation movies I bought. I'm gonna see if they have extra stuff on the DVDs.
Well, I bet they do, because the ones I do.
You said
I said do.
Alright, well, it's been a nice chat. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
It has, but you know, let me tell you one thing I did today.
Okay.
So I was watching this guy who's on YouTube, Joe. Oh God, I don't know his name. Anyway, his name's Joe something. Anyway, he was
not to be confused with our friend Joe. I don't think you're not talking about him, right?
No.
Okay.
Anyway, he does different videos, and he did this People of Walmart. I watched all his People of Walmart, and you know, I moved here from North Carolina a while ago, and I've been to Walmart wearing some. I mean, like I'm dressed right now. You can't see me, but Kara can, and she'd probably laugh. But I mean, you know. And around town, I don't care. If I'm not, you know, if I don't have a purpose, like to go meet somebody or go to work, I don't care.
Right.
So, after I watched those videos, I was like, I wonder if anybody has ever taken a picture of me. So, I went through all 69 pages of North Carolina on peopleofwalmart.com.
Just to make sure that you weren't on there.
Well, I thought, if I am, I'm going to take a screenshot and be proud of it and post it on Facebook. But unfortunately, I was not caught by the people who posted pictures on People of Walmart.
That's hilarious.
It's never too late, though. I could go to Walmart tonight. I'd probably be put on there.
Well, just stay in the house and you should be safe.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Well, thank you guys for coming to hang out with us again. I know we just kind of rambled about stuff, but, you know, that's the whole point of this show is us having conversations about things.
It is, and I think trying different things and saying different things, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we're not
Keeps it
100%
fresh.
Star Trek all the time. We are 99.9% Star Trek, but, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Star Trek's always in our heart and soul.
Always the forefront of our minds.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our blood. It's in our livers.
It's in my nose hairs. Can you smell what Picard is cooking?
Tea. Oh, great. Hot.
I'm not smelling what Neelix is cooking, and I gotta say,
I love Neelix.
I'm so glad
He has a cookbook.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
I'm so glad that Joe hates Neelix, too.
Whatever. Y'all don't know what y'all are talking about.
But he likes Cass.
Y'all don't know what you're talking about.
Ugh.
Neelix is awesome.
I mean, I like Ethan Phillips, okay, the guy who plays him, you know. And I'm watching 6 Feet Under, and sent Kara a picture of the actor who played Dr. Phlox.
Oh yeah,
that was really cool. That was really cool. I love nuggets.
Okay, so if you're in the Facebook Messenger camera, they have filters and things like Snapchat. There is one in there that gives you this smile that's, I swear, is Dr. Phlox. You know that weird smile that he gives? So y'all can try it out. And Dr. Phlox yourselves.
Phlox yourself.
Alright guys, thanks for hanging out with us again. You're awesome, wonderful, beautiful, amazing people. And we'll see you next time.
We will, with the Orville and Molly and Joe and DJ.
Yes.
And some bitchin' conversation.
Indeed. Bye.
Bye.